They're really fun to drive. They're really nice cars. They're front wheel drive, so your dumbass fucking 16-year-old ass doesn't have a car you can just drift in yet, because God knows you're going to do that and do burnouts all over the goddamn place.
It's a very good point.
If you have the option, okay, easily modifiable, super large aftermarket for it. Where's the issue?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Substance Podcast. I'm your host, Liam.
And I'm your other host, Matt.
And we're back in the living room, which is probably where we will stay recording from now on because it's really comfortable. And I'm sitting back on the couch now. The last episode, I was sitting on the front of the couch and leaning forward the whole time, and my back really hurt afterwards. So I would say shout out to Johnny for buying us chairs, but we're no longer using them. So
I didn't even
thanks.
think about it.
He didn't get a shout out in the last episode, and so I just had to bring it back.
Johnny,
up,
we'll get you back somehow.
We didn't
we're just gonna ship the chairs back.
Regardless,
we used them earlier whenever you're working in the garage.
Yeah,
regardless,
we do use them.
We do really appreciate the chairs. I literally didn't think about that fact until he just said it right now. We do really appreciate the chairs. We'll figure out a way to.
We make a joke about it every
give
time,
back, don't
and then almost have to cover up because we feel bad because we're just like, well, it was really, really nice that you sent us the chairs. But anyways, you will notice if you're watching on YouTube, we have a guest with us.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You guys are probably like, who the fuck is that guy? Very just surprising guest. Matt asked me earlier. He was like, have you spoke to Dustin today? And I was like, no, why? And he's like, well, he said he was coming over here to like drop off a gift or something, or he just said drop something off. I don't think he said gift.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like hour and a half, like 2 hours if there's traffic. What? Why would he just be dropping something off? And I didn't think anything of it because, I mean, Dustin just says things.
That's fair.
And so I was in the garage today doing some fiberglass work on the LS just because I absolutely wrecked my rear bumper because I did not put wood down when I pulled it out of the garage the other day. Car's totally fine on the road at any other time, but if I leave the driveway without wood, my rear bumper is destroyed. So anyway, I was doing some work, and all of a sudden, a Y33 SEMA pulls up, and Dustin hops out with a big old bag. I start recording him on my story, and I'm just like, what? Whose man is this? What the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I bring a gift. I was like, what gift? And he's like, oh, it's not for you. And I was like, go fuck yourself. But anyway, the gift.
Bro.
You guys, if you've been listening to the podcast for some time now, and you know all the inside jokes, and I'm sorry if anybody is new for this episode, although I don't know why you would be. I don't think Dustin Has Cars is going to be the most clickable name to put on.
No. I'll bring in a solid 3 people.
But anyways, the gift is an inside joke. Matt, would you please present and share with us what you have been gifted?
Gentlemen, this man traveled on a whim from Knoxville, Tennessee to give me this 2000 orange Ford Explorer Sport Track. It is literally the... Guys, this is quite literally the exact one that I had. And I think the funniest part about that was... I looked at him and I said that. I'm like, dude, this is the exact one. And he goes, I mean, yeah, it's not like any company's fighting for the rights to make this thing. But this is here, hold on. I'm going to get up. YouTube people, let me give you a treat really quick. I'll put it up on the camera. Hold on.
But yeah, this is a model car that Matt had when he was, how old were you, Matt? Because I don't remember the backstory exactly.
7 years old.
Oh, the light's not over there. It's just dark as fuck.
And for all of the sport track enthusiasts, it is a surprisingly well-built model.
It is. It has working suspension. It's got like all the doors open. The tailgate drops. The tailgate drops down, and it even has the
storage rack.
Yeah, it's like the cargo extender thing or whatever.
You open up the tailgate, and there's like this cage that you can move out that makes the bed like 2 feet longer. And it's like the coolest thing that I literally noticed as we're all sitting in the kitchen probably like 20 minutes ago is they literally have it down to like there's a fucking, because I used to know somebody that actually had one of these, and we did an oil change on it one time, so I know this label's in there. But there's a fucking label like on the, I guess what's the top of the grill, like under the hood, and that fucking label is there, and like you can see all the writing. I don't even know how they printed that small.
No, neither do I.
But,
well,
like,
it's a scale model, dude. They just shrunk everything.
Yeah.
That's all
But
it was.
like, it's a really fucking. If you turn the steering wheel, it turns the fucking wheels. Like
it was a real car at one
this
point. They
thing-
just shrunk
Shut
it.
the fuck up. This thing is pretty legit, and my man just surprised me with it, and it was just fucking incredible.
And that's the important moral is if you stalk these guys and show up to their house unannounced, you can be on a podcast. That's all you have to do. That's the takeaway.
That's the thing too. Is Liam's like, please don't do that. But yeah, so I had because he had told me that he was bringing something, and I was like, "Are you bringing a bomb?" And he was like, "Yeah, for sure." I was like, "No, seriously."
Yeah, and for the fucking test audio 2 seconds ago where I was trying to get levels on his mic, I was like, hey, Dustin, can you just say something for a sec so I can check your levels? He just dives into a story about murdering homeless people.
Allegedly.
I was just like, all right, yeah, perfect. We figured out the levels. It keeps going.
You got nothing. You got nothing on him.
Anyways, Dustin is a good friend of ours who is from Knoxville. I know you from cars, but we met at Riverside last year. Where was it like a month or like 6 weeks before Riverside? You'd hit me up about booth cars,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Hey, I have this car that should be ready for then." I'm like working through a bunch of things, like I'd love to be a booth car, and I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, I know that car. Yes, 100% booth car. And then ever since then, we've been good friends, and you've helped me out with so many things to do with my business, RIP, including being there and saving my dignity at the very last event that I did for LEP that was just
abysmal.
I mean, we can get into
Yeah.
that story in a little bit because it might actually be funny to hear it from your perspective. But anyway, Dustin has an LS460 that is, I guess, before you, known from VIP'd out. It's a pre-facelift car, so it's 2007, 2008 generation. Facelifted bumpers, everything's from Aim Gain wide body kit. Custom front fenders.
Custom front fenders.
It's painted a really cool gray, bunch of Junction Produce stuff on the interior. It's bagged on AccuAir E-Level. You have 21-inch AGs, and then a big brake kit from...
Lucky.
From what?
Lucky. They're
Okay,
not that big of a company. Their
Okay,
brake
I was
kit
going to
is
say,
amazing.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
I just know that they're orange and they look sick. But anyway, it's a really, really cool car, and if you guys have not seen it before, Dustin's Instagram is Dustin Has Car.
That's also the name.
Has cars.
Has Cars.
Because now I have more than one.
He does. You have the Y33 SEMA now. Two
Yeah.
Y33 SEMAs.
And one Y33 SEMA soon to be for sale, and soon the Lexus will be for sale.
Did you know
Oh,
I have
shit.
you on my phone as Dustin Has Cars?
It should be Dustin Has Phone.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
every platform that
Dustin
he
has
gets on, he
phones.
just changes it. Like he's in the Discord, and it's just Dustin Has Discord.
That's how I keep it simple.
Do you do the same thing on YouTube, don't you?
Yes. Dustin has YouTube. Dustin has email.
I didn't know this.
Dustin has cash if you need to send me money. Everything is just Dustin has.
If you guys are watching on YouTube and you see Dustin Has YouTube in the comments, make sure that you like the comment so it can be the top comment. But yeah, this is Dustin, a good friend of ours, and you just happened to show up today to drop
To give
something
me
off, and we were like, you know what?
118 Ford Explorer, 2000 Ford Explorer Auburn burnt orange sport track with a clutch pedal, even though it's an automatic.
But yeah, no, I mean, you were here for like 5 minutes, and I was like, we're recording later. Do you wanna do the podcast? He's like, sure. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I'm
There
like,
we
"It
go.
doesn't-
That's the full answer.
It doesn't matter. You're just here.
Neither do we. We never do either.
It's something that gives a little bit more dynamic. Ben's gonna hate me for using that word.
We're all on
That's
our,
Ben's
we're all
word.
on our toes
We just
constantly.
brought this up before we recorded. because this was a question that popped up for me. You know how there's that new app that's out for YouTube, for Instagram, where it's the not gonna lie thing, and people can send you anonymous messages. One of the first ones that I got was something directed at Matt, where it said, if I had $1 for every time Matt said
not for nothing,
which is a common phrase, I'd be rich as fuck. Well, my answer to that is that when you're on a show every single week just talking about stuff, it is so easy for those things to happen, and you don't ever pick up on it. But then when you're like broadcasting it to thousands of people,
because that's the thing,
you pick up on it.
Well, you're hearing yourself.
Right.
Like over the course of talking during a day, you guys are around me all the time. But it's like, were we not on a podcast? Well, I take that back. You'd probably notice. You just wouldn't say anything. But like, for me, I don't have recordings of myself saying everything that I ever say over the course of the day.
Of course, you're about to become aware and probably insecure of all of the tics that you have as a person.
But you know what is actually pretty funny? And you may or may not remember this, but that ticked off a little box for me in having a podcast, because I specifically remember we were in the car, and I was like, I know what's going to make me happy is if we have enough people that one day that people start commenting on the shit that I say all the time, like Matt.
No, that was like real early stages of us doing this podcast. Was you brought that up and you're like, you know how we'll know when we've made it? Yeah, is when people start quoting the shit that we always say. There you go. People are picking up on our isms, and I have some. But what brought me onto that was Benny used the word dynamic a bunch, and he picked up on it and now doesn't want to use that word even in real life.
Actually, hold on really quick. Somebody had sent me something with the questions as pertains to that. Hold on 1 second.
And while you pull it up, I can say, Liam, I haven't noticed repetitive, but you're really bad about you'll say something in a full sentence that is fine. But I've clipped so many things and just thrown it online because there'll be a part of it that makes you sound like the worst person in the world. I
know, because you clipped them and showed them to me.
Hey, really quick. Hey, Alan, Anarchy EJ1 on Instagram. Not for nothing, not for nothing, not for nothing, not for nothing, not for nothing. And he's drunk as fuck.
What?
He said, I'm going to take a shot every time you say it in the next episode. Fuck me up, man.
Yeah, I want video.
Not for nothing.
I want video proof of that. We're also not responsible for anybody being absolutely hammered and doing stupid stuff. But anyways, this week we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A. Obviously, this was kind of last second. We didn't have like a big topic to talk about. So we're like, let's do a Q&A. And then Dustin shows up and we're like, cool, let's just have Dustin do the Q&A.
You go to the gym a lot, bro?
No.
You don't?
No.
Your arms are fucking crazy, dude.
I mean, I do heavy work.
I work on heavy equipment. No, like I just, okay, yeah, you
Hey, no, I
just noticed because he's holding,
let's advertise this.
He's holding the mic, and I'm like, bruh, his forearm is like 3 of mine.
There's too much testosterone in this room right now.
We're tossing testosterone?
There's too much tossing going on in here. Quit it.
You bunch of tosses.
Yeah.
This is honestly, I'm already feeling it. This is probably the most informal episode of this show we have done so far.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I think it's. I think that's
you invited
what's
me. That shows the bar is low.
We didn't invite you. You showed up.
Close enough.
Hey, he paid his entrance fee.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for my pizza.
Scale 2000 Ford Explorer Sport Track.
Yeah, Matt got an Explorer Sport Track, and I got a pizza. It was good. But before we jump into that, I mean, we can just kind of catch up and fill you guys in on what's been going on. This week has been an exciting week. There's been absolutely nothing going on whatsoever. We're all...
Well, the good news is I don't work on Saturdays anymore. I have finished my sentence of working on Saturdays, so that should be pretty cool. That's pretty exciting for me, but other than that...
Well, I guess I speak for myself. I have not done shit all week because, life is there right now. That's all I'll say.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It'd be like that.
Doesn't it, Dustin?
Yeah.
Dustin has life.
Not really.
No, I didn't say a life. Dustin has life.
Still kicking. We got it.
Dustin, Really quick, let's
Yeah.
give our guests some space. How you doing, man?
Yeah, Dustin, how are you?
How's your week? How's life?
Doing well. I've got the Lexus down. That's a bummer. The one SEMA was hit by a lawnmower. That's
Please tell that story.
Oh,
in
yeah,
brief,
okay, yeah,
please.
fill that in.
I've got two SEMAs. I have a blue one I love, I want to build, and then I have a gray one I regret buying. It was an online auction. I got excited. It was a mistake. And then it was in storage, and a guy hit it on a lawnmower, which...
I shouldn't laugh.
It's
fucking funny.
It's not
I don't care.
covered by insurance without being a nightmare, and it's not covered by the storage, so it falls on the lawnmower company, which was a college kid which just moved 6 hours away. So now I'm trying to do any form of payment plan to get money so that I can sell this car I regret buying.
Hey, I feel like I'm in a similar situation. I have a car that I very much regret, which is still broken because nobody can fit me in to get it fixed. Although I do have all the parts for it now. I have the water pump, timing belt, cam seals, valve cover gaskets, plugs and wires. I was going to attempt doing it myself this weekend, and I was really hoping that like one of our local friends or somebody could come and give me a hand because mechanically, my knowledge goes as far as bolting and unbolting things. So when there's like things to look for and pay attention in engine bays, I don't be doing that. So I was gonna attempt to do it because it didn't seem like it was that bad of a job, but without having any help and also not really having any tools, I knew I was gonna get halfway through it and not have the correct tool to do something or mess something up, and I just cannot afford to have the only daily drivable car I have to be messed up. So
Liam literally just described my entire experience
with cars
ever.
Well, yeah, if you guys relate to that, it sucks.
Absolutely smash that subscribe button.
Fuck it up, dude. Hit the 5 stars if you're fucking broke and can't finish your fucking car, dude. Hit 5 stars on Spotify right now, bro.
Literally eliminate that subscribe button from existence.
Yeah, eliminate it. Not in any. We're not related to the YouTube channel. Eliminate, but just fuck that subscribe.
No, okay. Is there a YouTube channel called Annihilate?
It probably is,
Yeah,
but not in
okay.
cars. At least I know about.
Annihilate that subscribe button.
Yeah, please.
Man, we are off to a really interesting start.
Doesn't matter.
We're already this far in.
Yeah, we got it.
More fun. All right, let's do questions because once we get into topics and things we actually like are discussing, depending if we can keep it serious or not, that will be another question.
I don't know. Dustin's here. He's got that party energy, man.
Dustin is, I will give the disclaimer, Dustin's pretty sarcastic. I'm pretty sarcastic, but Dustin, I think, is a little bit more sarcastic than I am.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We'll let you guys decide. All right, so, wow, the first one that I see is Dustin has cars. What that mouth do?
There it is.
That's a good question.
It talks on the fucking podcast. That's what it does. It says things that if you cut them out of context, they sound really bad, apparently.
They do make you sound like a serial killer sometimes.
Fuck. Yo, imagine that. Imagine, like, somebody chopping some shit together and they're just like, yeah, Liam's a serial killer. And it's just a bunch of stuff. I'm literally...
He cuts it up and it's like, I like to kill people.
I'm literally saying things now that I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, yeah, this probably sounds bad. Like, everything that comes out of my mouth, if there's a pause afterwards, I'm like, oh, yeah, that could probably be clipped. Damn it, you've made me paranoid of this now.
I'm glad I could be here to witness it.
Thank you.
Fucking Dustin just watches the episodes 3 times each just to find the best shit.
I swear. All right. So, let's see. We got to pick one of these. There's plenty of them.
I'll just pretend like I have questions.
Okay, I'll just do this first one that's in here. Mr.ek5 said, how much is enough Camber?
How much is enough?
Mm-hmm. He didn't give any more detail. How much is enough Camber? He's not specifying, like, I think he means, like, how much is enough, as in, like, how much is not too much Camber,
mean, like...
I think.
So, for me, this is 2 things. One thing is, I'm not sure if you mean this question, like, each of us, like each person, but for me, I literally have never really had like a super stancy car. Like my RSX was the most stancy I ever got, and honestly don't even fucking remember. Is 7 degrees of camber a lot?
No, but I mean it's more than like a stock car. That's more than natural camber.
Okay, so
I would say.
I feel like I feel like I was running like 7 degrees in the rear.
Yeah.
On the RSX. And I liked how it looks. I didn't think it was like ridiculous, but it was obvious enough that I had camber in the rear.
Right, but you're not a big stance
yeah,
fan.
it's like my easy answer that applies to any car is like whatever matches the body lines that's not fucking absurd. And that's enough camber.
You're a functional fitment guy, which Dustin,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you're kind of in the same boat.
I'm 2 degrees of camber is all I ever want. My car at ride height is 2 degrees. Now, if people have cambered out,
your wheels are like 13 inches wide too. Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why it's $400 a tire. I'm not wearing out an inch of it, and I can't flip them. But I believe 2 degrees of camber, that's all you need. Yeah. Now, people who do it for their style, great. Do your style, I love it. But for me, I like the trucks that slam because they slam and their wheels are straight up and down.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, my answer to that is similar to Matt's, although obviously I'm more of a camber fanboy, although less of it now because I'm sick of my car. But, I mean, my car has negative 12 degrees, which for me, that was the number that I was chasing when I was building the car because I took pictures of like every angle of the car and then I basically digitally drew straight lines along every line I could on it and just tried to figure out what was the best of all of the worlds. And I ended up trying to line everything up with how is the C pillar the rear pillar?
It's the last pillar,
So the B and C pillars, I was trying to line up with those to get it perfect. And I was getting worried when the car was looking like it was going to be like negative 14 or 15. And I'm glad I managed to get it to 12 because that for me is like enough where the car is still usable. Like my barrel is not like really, really close to the ground and it matches up with every body line on the car. But I'm like, my take for camber is like literally just pair it up to whatever the style of the car is. If the style of the car is like really angular and whatever, and you can get away with doing 20 degrees of camber, I'm here for it. I ain't going to do it myself, but I don't think it's too much. As long as it matches, we're good.
Yeah, I think that's the story that I'll stick with is it's like enough for me is just match the body line and just leave it there.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
I don't think any of us are fans of anybody who is literally just chasing the camber numbers. That's camber numbers and really wide wheels. Like you said, your tires are $400 a tire.
Yep.
If you have like 13 or 14,
terrifying.
Yeah, if you have 13 or 14 inch wide wheels, you're just playing yourself because you're making it more difficult for you to get tires. It's more expensive for you to get tires.
Yep.
And half the time it just looks worse. And that's why I don't really care for like cars that are like insanely wide body. Like I've seen like 350Zs that are like, I don't know, the wide body kits are like 4 inches, 5 inches on either side.
I found myself thinking the other day, like, okay, very obviously there's like being arguably the most like motorsports interested guy here. Granted, Dustin, I don't know how much interest
Dustin likes. He likes NASCAR.
Okay,
NASCAR,
all right.
Formula One, IndyCar.
So then you know what I'm talking. It's like I feel like with wide body, you can only go so wide until it starts being like kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? Because it's like traction and being planted is one thing, but if you have like a fucking if it's not a rear drive car, like if you have a fucking square setup with 14-inch wide wheels, like you'll hardly even be able to pivot. You're not going to be able to break traction.
You're going to have that. You're going to get worse performance in rain at a certain point with width. You're also going to be running them thinner. I run these tires on the Lexus thinner than I would any other because it's like, oh, these are expensive.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing is like, I don't know. On the Camber, people don't consider their usage. I drive my cars. Any car I have, I have to be able to go across the country. And some people run around town and want to do 12. It's like, yeah, go for it. But
I was going to say, like,
be realistic to yourself, too, on this.
Yeah. The old setup that I had on the LS, I was at -8 squared when the car was aired out. So at ride height, it was really around like -6, which was perfect. Because I would drive that thing anywhere, and I'd get like really good life out of those tires. I'd be 5,000 miles, 2,500 on a flip, which I feel like I would probably do maybe 1,000 miles to a flip on the setup that I have now. Maybe a little bit more. It really depends what roads I'm driving it on. But yeah, like when you have a car that is already like 4 or 5 inches wider on each side of the car, and then you add camber too, it just doesn't. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's just like, I appreciate that it looks like a spaceship and you're really excited about it, and it's great that you're pushing the boundaries of what should be safe to drive. But for me, it's a little much. But
yeah. If you can't drive it, I don't like it. That's my standard.
That's fair. I think a lot of people probably share that sentiment.
Let me hit one really quick.
All right.
So this is a question from my friend Joey, and he says, why do you think you're some sort of automotive expert? Your opinion is absolute. Joey, the answer to that question is because I am. I say so. Okay?
I was going to
Joey?
I was going to say facts.
You were going to say what?
I was going to say all of our opinions are absolutely meaningless. I was going to say you're absolutely right. Everything and anything that we say means nothing, but we're very thankful that you guys listen.
No. Camera, microphone. You're an expert.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
I'm not an expert at anything.
I'm an expert at not being an expert. Okay. So this is graffiti die cuts. Yes, that's absolutely going to happen at some point. When do you think being a car enthusiast will stop being a trend?
A trend?
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll, as long as social media is a thing, I think that being a car enthusiast will be a trend. I don't see that would ever stop.
Sorry. That was Ruined Mark 6 that said that. I forgot we're going to.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think that it would ever stop being a trend. I think that it could have like a downward spiral if the whole like industry changes and everything goes electric and less people are interested in being like an enthusiast, then maybe. But
I think okay. Technically, I can't say this because I didn't write the question. I'm not at his brain, but I feel like that's more directed at like.
When are people going to stop doing dumb shit?
Well, not even that. It's just like once social media became a thing, all of a sudden people were just kind of like, I mean, yeah, it seems cool to like cars, so I guess I'll just like cars, even if I wasn't like interested at all before I made this decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a microphone because, I mean, people were coming back from World War II and hot rodding their cars. Like, it's always been a trend. It's just now people are putting it online like they do everything.
Yeah, it's the masses, the amount of people and the accessibility is there.
And that's where even electric, I think that'll bring in a lot of new people. Like, young people are not getting licenses as much. They're not caring as much. I think electric, whenever that becomes affordable, will help bring in a whole new wave of people who that's their thing.
That's fair enough, yeah. Yeah, I don't see it ever not being a trend. I think it always has been a trend, for sure.
I think I'm just thinking of it in like a really semantic way.
But maybe he is being more specific to like, hey, when are people going to stop doing dumb shit for Instagram type of thing? Which in that case, I don't know.
Probably never, unfortunately.
Yeah, I hope that it can calm down because it does ruin a lot of things.
Let me get one more because this is for me and Dustin. I've just decided this for me and Dustin.
I'll get fucked.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
S12 Senpai, shout out S12 Senpai, probably one of the most active Discord users.
Dude, shout out to that guy.
What was the first motorsport you remember thinking, damn, racing is fucking sick?
Why can't I be in this?
You can. Okay. I was fucking with him.
He's like, he's a Stance kid. He can't talk about motorsports.
I think an important one for me, I grew up seeing it on TV and kind of experiencing it through that way, but NASCAR is not that popular. When I was at UT, they offered free tickets for students if you'll just pay the $5 ticket fee. And I went with a bunch of friends, and I got to say, going to a NASCAR race is amazing. Even if you think it's dumb and all that, and that's all true. But, like, I had the time of my life going. You bring your own cooler. You don't have to pay for snacks or drinks. Bring them on in. and everybody is just drunk and nice. And I was like, this is an amazing time. And seeing a series where people are not only allowed to wreck, it's just stated that's fine. Like, somebody wrecks you, oh, go wreck them. We don't care. You can fight them after. And I was like, this is an experience in a circus. And I was like, this NASCAR thing is amazing. And then it spawned out from there.
I think NASCAR is another one of those things where I made the joke last week about America not having culture. NASCAR is a big part of American culture.
Yeah, I would say.
And it is one thing I have not ticked off of my list that I feel like I need to. I need to go to a NASCAR race because I've always wanted to. Like, nothing about the actual, like, racing interests me that much. I mean, if they crash, cool, that'd be really exciting. I don't really like seeing people crash because I'm an empath, but people watching an empath watching people die at NASCAR.
No, it's safe now, and that's what makes it great.
Okay, cool. Well, I just want to people watch because it's fascinating
amazing
to me.
I saw a drunk, overweight man who had ripped his sleeve off, and he was wearing it as a hat. And he was yelling at this interracial lesbian couple, and I'm like, oh, no. Oh, we've gotten it. And then he pulled out a bottle, and he was screaming, no, you have to try. I made it at home. It's amazing. And they're like, okay. And then they start drinking. I'm like, I'm watching an overweight, bald guy giving homemade liquor, moonshine, whatever, to an interracial lesbian couple. Like, this is amazing. I love this.
That's surprising for NASCAR.
This is the best America has to offer.
I'm in.
Fair enough.
So, do you want to go or you want me to go?
I can. Mine's pretty short and sweet.
I
saw monster trucks when I was really young. Granted, when I was a kid, I was like obsessed with big trucks because I didn't live in America, and that's what I was. When I was a baby, because I was in America, I saw trucks and I was obsessed. Then when I went back over to England, we didn't have trucks. So the first time that I saw monster trucks, I was maybe like 6 or 7, maybe 8. I don't know. We're in Europe somewhere, and there was a big monster truck show advertised, and I begged my dad to go. It was incredible, and that's it. Just monster trucks destroying things, driving over cars, big explosions, sick.
I'm surprised.
How could you not like that?
I didn't know they had monster trucks in Europe.
They do. It's just not very common, like, at all. Like, you don't ever see it. And I'm pretty sure they had, like, Bigfoot over there for this event or something. But it was pretty rad.
Shit, yeah. So, mine, I kind of... Whatever. I'm just going to say my answer. Why do I do this? Okay, so apparently when I was a kid, I've heard this from multiple sources. Apparently, when I... Okay, apparently when I was a kid, I would continuously tell people and my parents that I wanted to be a race car driver when I grew up. I don't know where that came from. I have always, when I was younger, I didn't have like an unhealthy obsession with cars like some kids do at that age, but I definitely liked cars. But the way that my memory works is really bad. And so I don't honestly really remember in like my super young years if there was even like a type of racing that really caught my attention. But honestly, as far as like motorsport is concerned, like Need for Speed Underground, like we obviously had a whole episode kind of about how we grew up through those different games, but Dirt Rally and like actual like stage rally like WRC really is kind of what lit me on fire for like motorsport. And honestly, one of my it's not even a regret because I didn't do anything, but like I think will always wish that I was put onto Gran Turismo much sooner in my life. I will always think that had I been put onto that much earlier, I would be not only much more knowledgeable, just like have an even more intense interest in cars and motorsport. But far and away, rally is just I'm fucking obsessed with it. And like the other types of motorsport that I've gotten into have just kind of been like a natural progression from being so interested in rally. And I mean, funny enough, like in WRC now, and ultimately when I got into WRC, it was probably like 2015 maybe. Mm-hmm. which I guess it was like 2016 was when they really, like, the cars started to get fucking crazy, like with all the crazy aero and like the new generation basically. And so it was at that point that I decided, like, oh, I like really fucking crazy aero in motorsports. And that's when I started, like, looking into, like, touring championships and fucking JGTC and, like, all of these older, you know, motorsports. And have been a thing forever just out of my, like, realm that have, like, these crazy fucking aero and these crazy body kits and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, they're so fucking cool. And it's like, that's one of the coolest parts about it is, like, one, it's a big part of that, like the aero, but then all the performance stuff is like where it really gets cool.
Oh yeah.
Even though I don't, you know, I'm not good with all the various like technical specs of that stuff, it's just kind of like what's great gets even greater when you think about how fucking cool the cars themselves are. And then how fucking insane they are from a performance perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the cars are cool enough on their own, but the discipline of rally driving, rally drivers, it is far and above what makes it, like, insanely more cool for me is that, you know, we've talked about this before, but I feel like rally drivers are literally the best racing drivers ever.
100%.
So many different skills.
I told Dustin this, like, when we were playing WRC on the sim rig. I will tell this to anybody, and I have for a while. I have no idea if I was the first one to say it. Most likely not. You can put a rally driver in an F1 car, and they'll do awesome. You can't put an F1 driver in a rally car, and they'll do awesome.
No.
It just doesn't work. The thing is, rally is like, you have to learn how to literally control the car in any given circumstance, moment, condition. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're, you know, if something happens and all of a sudden you're flying at the edge of a corner, fucking you understeer into the edge of a corner. If you have enough room to just, like, make it happen by whatever avenue, the difference between, like, a rally driver is going to be used to being in that, like, that second of, like, ooh, I don't know if I can do this, and then they just make it happen.
Yeah.
I feel like with a lot of other motorsports, because it's all on, like, asphalt, you have that, to whatever degree it may be, you have that predictability.
There's less variables
You know
that
what
are
I
out of
mean?
your control.
You
know at least the surface you're on is solid and it's not going to change.
You know that when you're
Let's break.
You know, on tarmac, when you brake, it's at least going to connect with the ground. I mean, yes, obviously understeer is a thing, no shit. But, like, on gravel, if your car is tweaked even fucking 6 inches in the wrong direction,
right,
you may just slide right the fuck off.
And not just that, are you the first guy whenever there's more gravel? Or are you the last guy whenever they've kind of grooved it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's absolutely nuts. There's so many things that can go wrong in
Well,
rally
it's
driving.
like one thing I just thought about because he said that is I think it was Hot Version. It was one of the shows with Keiichi Tsuchiya was like one of the hosts. I don't remember if it was Hot Version or something else. But it was an episode they did with Tommy Mäkinen in the Bug-Eye rally car. And one of the like the hosts of the shows that always does it did like a ride along with him, and he was like observing him, and he was talking about like, this is so crazy to watch him because they were on snow, like they were on one of the mountains of Japan that had snow all over it, and they were talking about how they were watching him, and Tommy Mäkinen would constantly like jiggle the wheel a little bit to see if there was grip where he was at. You know what I'm saying? Like It's like shit like that, like. I heard, you know, something about Ayrton Senna is like they called him like the master in the rain because like somebody made a statement in the neighborhood of like he could find grip better than any F1 driver in history in the wet. So I mean it's very possible that he did something akin to that. But like it's like shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean it's just being able to have the experience, the muscle memory, and this sense to be able to do shit like that, fucking jiggle your wheel to test grip where you're at.
Right.
If you're in an F1 car, you don't have to do that. Not to mention the fact that let's be honest, F1 cars probably have like, I don't want to say that because I don't know that for a fact, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that rally cars have less assists than F1 cars do. Do you think?
Do either of them have assists? I don't know enough about it to comment.
He's going to know.
I'm not sure. Well, because they've eliminated a lot of the assists out of Formula One, but there's also less of a need because of the consistency.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad they have it here. I swear to God, that's my one thing about hearing myself talk on this podcast. I need to learn to, like, preface some of the things that I say if I'm not, like, 100% sure. Yeah. I'm going to get better at that. But
no, it's just more comments. Everything you say wrong is more comments coming in.
Yeah, be more ignorant.
So, but I'm saying all of these words just to prove the point that rally drivers supreme, motorsports drivers, I don't care. Drifting is cool, and like people I'm sure can argue that drifting is like just as chaotic as far as like existing in this like knife's edge of like, do I have control versus do I not? But like the other thing is, for anybody that doesn't know how rally works, rally is, there's a lot of conditions, but just to give you a really generic condition, rally is driving a car at generally at least 60 miles an hour. Like even when they're going through corners and stuff.
At very least. These motherfuckers are going ham.
At least 60 miles an hour in a stage that you have only been to one time during recce, which is when they go through all the stages that they're doing so that the co-driver can make pace notes. They do pace notes, which is, I don't know, the best way to explain it is, it sounds like gibberish if you have no idea what you're listening for. But the co-driver is the guy that sits in the passenger seat that reads out notes that tells the driver basically what is up ahead so they can take a 45-degree turn on gravel at fucking 90 miles an hour.
At the speeds that they're going at, they have to be throwing it into a corner way before the corner's even there. So it's like, that shit's necessary. And it's crazy. Like, the fact that it has that teamwork to it as well. Like, all of these other racing things, it is just somebody in a car and they're driving. Like, they have their team in the pits or whatever, but you have somebody in there that is equally as important as you, the driver.
Well, equally as important, but you know what's funny to think about? Well, funny is kind of a loose word. Can you imagine the fucking balls of steel on a co-driver? Like, have you ever been in a car when somebody's driving like fucking insane?
You're just looking at a sheet or whatever.
And you're like, holy fuck, we're going to die. Like, imagine that feeling, but like times 10, and the only thing you have between you having a panic attack is like you trust the person driving the car.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, that's what I'm saying. Crashing is obviously a part of motorsport, and sometimes it could to tragic consequences. But like the stuff they do in Formula One, not only are you on asphalt, like, yeah, no shit, like you have walls and stuff, but like even a lot of the walls are like padded and stuff, especially now after like Grosjean and stuff, even more padded than they were before. Trees are not padded. Trees
are also not, they're long in shape only upwards, so dude, you will wrap yourself around
if you are going 90 miles an hour and your fucking pace notes are off and you slide right off and you hit a tree, that could be it for you. And they just fucking do it. They're just like, yep, this is what I enjoy doing. Like, it's fucking crazy.
I think one thing on the danger that helps them too, obviously Group B was much more so, but even now, I think it draws people in more because there's people just standing there.
Oh my God,
the spectating side of it's insane. Like, I saw...
Less so now.
No. It's less crazy because people aren't in the middle of the track. But I saw some videos literally yesterday that were filmed on new iPhones because they had the wide angle camera.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, they'll still be up on like the hills along the stage.
Like anybody who has a new iPhone knows how wide that camera is. I'm talking inches away from that shit, going like 110 plus through a corner. That's fucking so cool from every aspect. Rally, whether you're actually involved with it or you're just a spectator, everything about it is just fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and that's what I think is good is it humanizes it too, though. Like whenever you see a box, you kind of think like, yeah, it's a box, it goes fast, sure. But then you just see somebody standing there, and you're like, oh yeah, this is dangerous for everybody.
Everybody
Well,
involved. Yeah.
so the funny that anybody and Dustin just mentioned this. Anybody that knows like anything about rally has probably seen these videos at least once. But Group B, WRC in the '80s was like pretty agreed upon, like, which frankly it doesn't have the same like nostalgia. But I'll say it again. WRC right now is pretty fucking crazy. The cars are crazy. The power output is crazy. They're doing hybrid motors and hybrid setups now, and it's creating some pretty crazy stuff. But Group B was just like raw. I feel like, would you say that's a pretty good word to describe it?
Yeah.
And you can watch, videos of rally, especially in Spain. A lot of that would happen in Spain and Portugal, where you would have these rally cars driving 80, 90 miles an hour, whether it's going around turn straight or it doesn't matter. People would literally, there would just be a wall of spectators in the fucking road, in front of the drivers, and they would just like split the wall of them just in time to, well, most of the time, to not just get hit by this fucking rally car that was going like that. And it's like, it's so crazy to think about the element that added for the driver. The amount of focus that you have to be a rally driver to begin with. And then imagine putting, it's not even just like, it was like, holy fuck, that was a wall of people. Good thing we're past it now. No, like this
I
was
can't
like,
see the turn that's ahead of me.
this was like whole segments of the stage where there's just people clearing at the very last minute. Like I remember hearing a story, from one of the crews for like one of the Lancias. Mm. And they were talking about, there was like multiple times where they would open the hood and there'd be like fingers and shit in there.
What?
Yeah, like people's hands would be in the way of the car as it went by, and it would get caught and it would take their fucking finger off.
Jesus. All right. We can move on from that. That's absolutely insane.
But yeah, so anyway, rally is just kind of like that's just unbelievable. I mean, and if nothing else, like, even to say motorsports aside, like, the human mind is fucking incredible. When you mix, like, focus with muscle memory with stuff like that, like, obviously, athletes are athletes. That's just the way it is. I mean, it all requires focus and muscle memory and stuff. But, like, the stakes are not that fucking high in, like, football.
No.
And shit like that. They're just not.
You have to be physically capable like an athlete to drive a rally car, but you also have to be good at all of these other disciplines.
Yeah, I'm not throwing shade at all. It's just the fact that it's mentally it's a totally different thing. You know, F1 obviously because of the sheer speed and the G-forces. It's the same thing, but rally, I mean, the stakes are just so high at any given moment. It's crazy.
All right, so next question, which I may be the only person that's able to answer this, which
I'll Dustin.
I'll answer it quickly. This is from, well, Dustin might be able to answer.
Dustin's honestly the best of both worlds because he's stancy enough to be closer to Liam than I am, but he's also more motorsports.
I'm in between for a reason. I'm splitting it.
So the Creed 123 said, if you were big broke, how would you build a legit VIP build while staying away from rep parts? And the short answer is you can't, because a good VIP build for cheap, it doesn't exist. It's not a thing, right? Pay to play. But I can give the perspective of I am building a car when I am big broke. And as you can tell, it's taking a really fucking long time. So that's
patience and saving.
That's literally our answer. If you want to build a legit VIP build, as you put, while staying away from rep parts, and you're big broke, it's going to take a while. That's it. It's going to take some time.
Or talent. You know, just have enough skill. Just do everything yourself, but you won't be able to do that, or you won't be asking the question, so lots of time.
That is very true. If you are very, if you're very skilled in, bodywork stuff, and you could, build, a one-off kit and all of that stuff, and you're broke, you could easily do that. But, yeah, the short answer is you can't build anything that's really, really legit for cheap.
High standard stuff is really not impossible, but it is really hard to build without proper resources. And that sucks. That just returns to the shit that we always talk about and the shit that I fucking live by, being, I don't say perpetually broke anymore, but by being broke for much of my experience with cars so far, you know, if you can figure out how to do really cool shit with what you do have, as Dustin said, like, that's where you're going to win. I mean, I don't know. I just use the words high quality, where I almost want to take that back. It's just like, if you want the factor that comes with having like expensive parts that looks really good, they're expensive parts.
Yep.
If you don't have the resources at the time, that's fine, but that's ultimately going to become, you know, this challenge for you. And they're like, all right, I want those, but with the resources I have, I can't have them. So either I need to get something else, like, okay, now I'm confusing myself.
You're either gonna wait longer until you have the money to buy the parts that you want, or you're gonna buy cheaper parts. And as we've covered in previous episodes, buying the cheaper parts is gonna be the mistake, because you're gonna want to get the parts that you always wanted. And then the cheap parts that you bought, you won't be able to sell them for the same price that you paid for them, because they don't hold value, because they're cheap parts and nobody wants them.
Right.
Just save up. If you're big broke and you want to build something sick, just take your time. You just have to save up and do it the right way the first time. And that's my biggest issue with building my car, is I am big broke trying to build a very high-end car that is way above my pay grade. It's just taking a really long time. Will I do it eventually? Yes, it'll be finished eventually. But it takes a lot of time when you're broke. If you have money, then sure, you could realistically build my car in a way shorter time period. But it's not like that for everyone.
And while not necessarily VIP, I think if people are like, I want attention, I want everybody to notice me, there are a lot of cheap options. Now, you may not get it VIP, but Escort Bray on Instagram, he has, and I think you've even mentioned before, but he has a Ford Focus wagon from like the early 90s slant.
Are you talking about the Escort wagon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why his name is Escort.
That car, it's an amazing car.
Oh,
and that's a much cheaper entry point than an LS400. So you may not go VIP, but if you're just like, I want something cool, I don't have a lot of money, like, look for those cars.
Look for unique chassis and stuff like that. Of course, there's always ways around this stuff, but specifically pertaining to that question, if you want to
patience.
Even if it is just any kind of project, if you want something that is fully legit with nice parts and stay away from any kind of like cheap rep stuff, then just either get money or it's going to take a little while. And that's
you guys just fucking get money.
Just get some money. Okay.
Why, like, homeless people, like, why don't you just buy a home?
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, no, okay, that can lead into something, though. If you want something that is going to make your life a little bit easier in that process, the show sponsor, Wheel Price, is actually pretty cool for that, because you can find wheels from any kind of generation. It's an app for buying and selling wheels, and it's a great platform to find your next set of wheels. So if you're in the market, get on there. If you're selling your wheels, you can get on there. But they've been a huge supporter of this show, and we love working with them. And
can't wait to meet you guys.
Matt says that every single episode.
Maybe one
and
day.
I sold wheels on there.
Did you really?
Those terrible, horrible rep wheels that came on the SEMA I bought, I sold them on Wheel Price.
Well, yeah, if you're in the market for some horrible... God, Benny did the same shit after the ad read last week. He was like, yeah, I go on Marketplace all the time. I was like, no, damn it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No,
I had terrible wheels. I needed to sell them. So I was like, hey, these are terrible wheels, but they're very cheap. So they got tires on them.
And
then somebody was
Wheel
like, yeah,
Price
I want them.
did its job. It sold the wheels.
There is a market for it.
It was a seamless process, right?
Not just amazing wheels.
There you go.
Bad wheels, cheap wheels. They'll sell your wheels.
There is all kinds of wheels on that. Old Japanese wheels, any kind of Euro stuff, even brand new wheels. If you search for it on there, it'll be on there. And it's one of those things that will get better the more people that join. So that's why we're trying to promote it so much, is we want more of you guys to get on there and list your wheels, so that there's even more options out there, and then we don't have to deal with, third parties like Craigslist or Marketplace or anywhere that is just a hassle to sell something. You go on there, you make your listing, someone buys it or they don't buy it. That's that. So, yeah, it simplifies that process. But, the app, all the links will be in the description. So go
All the
check
links
them
will
out.
be over Liam's face on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I'm on this. I'm on this side of the frame now, which that makes that difficult. I'm gonna have them make a new graphic
That comes to where Dustin is.
just
and
comes.
just
Well,
drops
no,
blockbuster.
last week when I edited it, I put it more over there.
What if he like got them to do something new and then just made it cover me again?
Hey, you need to do the ad read.
We saw how that went last time.
No, they didn't because I cut it out.
Yeah.
It didn't go well, Kyle.
No, I love that.
There was a lot of word stumbling going on.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It's like, all right, I'll try it this time, and then cut to Liam. Wheel prices are sponsored.
No, Matt went to like start saying something and he just goes, I can't do this. He's like, I can't. It's fine. I have been in this business long enough. I know how to present and how to do this stuff. So.
Liam's been around the block a little longer than I have.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on to the next question, which this one I don't know how easy it'll be for us to just like answer on the spot because it may require some thinking. But this is from Reba_Mac_N_Tire.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. If you could only have one car for every application, what would it be? So they put daily, drift, drag race, and track. Which
that seems like it'd be hard to have an all-purpose car for all of those.
Yeah.
I
also had to have a stance car too. So
Lexus GS,
yeah.
because you can get big power out of it. You've still
Okay,
got
wait.
the four-door for the daily.
As long as we have the stipulation that we can make adjustments to suspension and wheels and
For
tire
each
setups for
application,
each
yeah.
application, then yeah,
Nah, you can. I feel like that would be your best universal base.
a GS.
I
Are you
actually-
talking like second generation GS, like the Aristos?
No, I'd probably go newer.
Really?
Give me as new as possible.
Okay.
I actually have a really good one that I saw a photo of it today and it reminded me how much I fucking love them. Nissan Pulsar GTI-R.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wait. How the fuck are you gonna drift that?
Take out the fucking axles in the front.
Isn't it a front bias car?
Maybe, but probably not. It was a Nissan, and all their all-wheel
Fair
drive has
enough.
always been rear dominant. So,
That would be funny to see that drifting though. That'd be kind of sick.
I mean, they drift Starlet, so it's not like you can't do it.
That's
And I
very
can
true.
fucking rally in it. It's all-wheel drive, so if I could switch out, do the fucking drag spec, I could do that too. I mean, that's when you think about it. At least for me, that's a pretty good fucking all-around car.
See, when I read this, I didn't have an answer, but you saying GS and me questioning if it's second gen, that's probably where I would go. Second generation Aristo, it's got to have like a built 1J or a 2J in it because, I mean, that's just great for all applications, drag racing, any kind of track stuff, and drifting. And then, yeah, it's got to have some sick-ass aero on it because it's got to look good at all times. And then you just change the wheels and suspension stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm really fucking proud of mine. Like I'm literally sitting here in my head, like imagining how I would set up a Pulsar for each one of those things, and it would be equally sick in all of them.
Yeah,
So that's where I'm at, because as soon as I said mine, I'm like, I like my answer.
Yeah, thank you for giving us that because now we're all like seriously considering how we could possibly build this.
Oh my god,
This
what
thing.
I would do for a fucking Pulsar, dude. There are not. I think the three Nissans that I would arguably like actually want to own is an R33 GTR, whether it's the Autech sedan or like a regular coupe GTR, a first gen Safiro, or a Pulsar GTI-R. Those are probably the only three Nissans that I would like willfully own. I love a lot of different Nissans, but
Safiras are interesting. They're
I don't know how to say respond to the face you just made.
they're really cool, but they're really like odd looking cars. It's almost like
yeah, that's one of the reasons I love them so much.
yeah. I was gonna say it's kind of like in Toyota terms, it's comparable to like how the Verosa is, although not quite that like ugly.
Yeah.
Although the Verosa's not ugly, it's just weird.
Safiro's not ugly either.
It's just a weird
It's
looking
just
car.
super like 80s with just a little bit like round. Okay, I take it back. 'Cause it's a fucking 90s car. It's just like I really like it because it's really angular, but they've rounded off all of the edges, but it's still really angular. Like, I really like the front end.
Did you say the first generation is what you said?
Yeah.
I don't remember the generations, but is that the one that looks like an Impala?
No, that is true. Maybe it's because there could be like, they could have been making that thing since the fucking 60s or whatever. I didn't know. Yeah. But the early 90s Safiro is what I'm going for. So either an early 90s Safiro, an R33 GTR, Autech sedan, or just regular GTR, or a Pulsar.
Okay. What, this question kind of leads off of that. No, it's not the same, but nb.supercars said best first car.
Like in Fantasyland?
No, I mean, if you're to make a recommendation,
sorry, I didn't understand the context at first.
If you're to make a recommendation to somebody for a first car, and you gotta take into consideration, like, I don't know, probably it's got it like say you're an 18-year-old and this is your first car.
This is America 16.
16. Not everybody has money to buy a car at 16. 18, I'd say, is reasonable because most people get their first job at like 16 and then save up money. They'll like drive their parents' car when they're 16, and when they're 18, they buy a car. I'm
really on some shit where I'm proud of my answers right now. Right. Honda Civic Si.
What generation?
Either FA5 or the one right after that, which I can't remember.
FB6?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because they're really fun to drive. Mm-hmm. They're really nice cars. Mm-hmm. They're front wheel drive. So your dumbass fucking 16-year-old ass doesn't have a car you can just drift in yet, because God knows you're going to do that and do burnouts all over the goddamn place.
It's a very good point.
If you have the option, okay, you can't do that in an SI. It's easily modifiable. Mm-hmm. Super large aftermarket for it. Mm-hmm. Where's the issue?
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That I did not even think about the front wheel drive part of it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because I don't care who you are. Every 16-year-old is a fucking idiot.
Yep.
I'm talking to you 16-year-olds. When you get into a car to drive, unless you're somebody that just does not give two fucks about cars, you're going to be wondering, can this do a burnout? And especially if you're in a rear drive car, it's not can it, it's already did one yesterday. Now I'm going to see if I can drift this thing.
Yeah. No, that is a fair point. I mean, I was literally just going to say an LS400, but too many people.
That's your catch-all.
They're expensive on gas. They're also kind of expensive to buy now, and kids aren't going to take care of them, and also they'll try and fucking do sideshows with them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of considering an SUV, like a 3-row SUV, because it's like, look, everybody will love you because everybody can ride with you, and you can't get yourself in that much trouble. If you bang the side, it's an SUV.
Well,
it's fine. If you go in a ditch, it'll pull itself out.
It's still rear wheel drive though.
Yeah.
All you got to do is have the right attitude, and then the 16-year-old puts a Suburban into a pole in a parking lot.
Well, I think just because this is a car podcast, I'm going to assume that it's talking from the enthusiast perspective. So
yeah, so
I don't know if any 16 or 18-year-olds going to be like
trying to training wheels them.
Yeah. But no, I think some kind of Civic Si would actually make a lot of sense.
I think so too.
Maybe
I'm super proud of that answer also.
I need to take a page from that book and do that for myself, because that would be really cheap to run and also fun to drive. So that's the direction.
I mean, it's like, dude, to me, that's one of the most beautiful things about like Conjo cars, whether it's like fully fucking kitted out Conjo car or literally I bought an EF hatch that still runs. I'm just going to take everything out of the interior except for the seat and the steering wheel.
Yep.
That's cool as fuck.
It is.
And it's like super fun to drive. I mean,
it's really fun to drive, but it really can't go that fast. So you're not going to get into that much trouble with it. And like if you're talking like FA5 or FB6, it's relatively new, so they're probably pretty safe.
Well,
like,
and the other
if you're parents of 16-year-olds listening right now and you're looking for a first car, you know, FA5, FB6, pretty safe car.
It was a 6-speed. It's still a 6-speed. If you get the FA5 generation, it's a K20Z, I don't remember the number, but it's a K20 and it's an SI, so it's like you get a fun motor that makes solid power for like what the car is.
Revs out super high.
The next generation, you get a K24, like what's in my car. Those things are pretty fucking stout for what they are. They're K-Series Honda motors. Maintenance is ridiculously easy.
Yep.
It's inexpensive. They're reliable to a fault. Like, and not for nothing. 3 more shots, Alan.
Yeah, get fucked up.
But the interiors, I would imagine that if anything, they got better. I hope
They have Bluetooth already
on the generation after. But my friend had an FA5 SI. That shit was so nice, dude. I mean, it was really simple, but it was Honda, so it was really nice and ergonomic.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of hot take, but I feel like somebody has to agree with me. Whenever Honda decided to go with that like double stacked screen thing that they did in the Civics, where like you have your tack and then literally like there's another screen above it. Yeah. I fucking hate that. That gives me like Aztec vibes. It's styling
confusing.
wise. Yeah, it's really just it's
agree,
gross.
it is confusing.
Like I used to drive my ex-girlfriend's Civic all the time that was like a newer, like I want to say like 2015, 2016. And it's nice to have that much information.
It competes for your eyeballs.
It's just fucking annoying and it's just too much going on. Like I miss that's why I like 90s fucking Toyotas, is because the interiors are so simple and they're just they look just boring. But they didn't go out of fashion.
I'm going to slow us down so Dustin can say what I've seen his mouth ready to say for like 2 whole minutes.
Yeah, what that mouth
is going to be, and this is where I'm going to. I don't know if the first car should be manual. And I know manual's great. Everybody loves it. You wear T-shirts and you wave banners. But your first car, you're not a good driver. And do you really need an extra step? And everybody's first car, it's like, oh, yep, they ruined.
No, I disagree.
They ruined the clutch.
I disagree. Because in England, everybody learns to drive in a manual, and it makes you a better driver. So if you're thrown into that, like your first car, hey, here's your first car, kid, fucking figure it out. If they figure that out, they're going to be such a better driver. If you put them in a big SUV automatic and they want to act like an idiot, they're never going to learn to be a better driver.
There's a higher standard for them to learn before they just cut them loose.
Yes, there is.
In America, we're like, have you driven, 10 hours?
But there's
do you know how to drive a golf cart? Yeah. Here's a Suburban.
But there's a thing called embarrassment. These kids are going to be like, they're driven by pressure. And so they will have to figure it out because they're going to be really embarrassed if they stall every time they pull away from a light.
Yeah. The
pressure on top, I think, will make them figure it out.
I think here's why I agree with Liam. Because think of it this way.
Get fucked, Dustin.
Think of it this way, right? Going back to like how 16-year-old, like, look, I know there's some 16-year-old listening to this podcast. I'm just giving you shit, but you guys will see when you're older that you're making decisions right now that are not always the smartest, and you can't be blamed because of neuroscience. It's fine. But what I was going to say is, if you start manual, you can't be fucking around on your phone when you're driving a manual. Well, when you start out, when you're learning how to drive a manual car, you can't be fucking around on your phone. Whereas with like an automatic, you're like, the car's got it.
But why can't you?
Why can't you what? Fuck around on your phone? I mean, because
it's a bad idea and they're 16 and their brain isn't fully developed. I just know everybody that got a manual their first car either ruined the transmission or wrecked it. That's why it's
he does make a good point. You have a lot more power to fuck your transmission, which is very expensive. That is a good point.
Well, as a parent, I would see that as a learning lesson where I'd be like, well, you fucked up your transmission. You pay for it. You figure it out. It's the same thing.
See, but that's a tough thing to say because it's really easy to say right now. But it's like if you're a parent and you have a job, you can't be like, well, find your own way to school. Like,
no, okay, no, like not to be that hard on them, but it's like, it's again going back to the pressure. It's I'm not going to bail you out of this. I'm not going to fix the transmission that you fucked up by being a shitty driver. Get good, kid. Just fucking learn to drive better, and you won't break the shit. The pressure on them will force them to be better drivers.
It won't be because they're 16 and it happens. Then they realize, I should have done better.
He's right. He is 100% right in how 16-year-olds work in that way.
That's fine. pay to fix it, but I'm gonna be on him about it. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm not like, you need to be a better driver so you don't fuck this shit up.
This is interesting because I see 100% every one of your points, but I also see like our points in that regard.
I think what it comes down to is like, you guys are, if you're 16, what car would you buy? And I'm more of looking like, if you're a parent, what car would you give a 16-year-old?
I understand.
I'd give a 16-year-old an SI Civic.
See, honestly, I would. You want to know what's funny?
Because I would be living vicariously through them. I'd be like, I mean, I had like some cool cars, but I didn't have that.
Do you want to know the really funny roundabout way that made me think about that?
What?
Is it irked me so much, I will never forget about it, as referenced by the fact that I'm telling you the story right now. I was working at Honda, and it was like hilariously cheesy too. But like, there was these two kids that were like 16 or 17 years old. They drive in, and at the time, what was two brand new Civic Si coupes. Like the one, it was literally, I still don't fully understand this. They were like, they had the regular Si, and then they had the Si coupes that were a totally different fucking body style. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
In like the late 2000s. So when those were brand new, one of the kids had an orange one, the other one had a red one. They were brand fucking new. Like, they just bought it off the lot. And they brought it in for an oil change. And I don't remember how me and my friend Jeremy got to talking to them. Dude, I was losing my fucking mind internally. I don't remember how we got to talking to them or how we got onto this subject, but they were like, yeah, well, you know, we really wanted a BMW 3 Series, but this is just what our dad got us, so I guess. And I'm like sitting there like, oh my fucking God. I have never wanted to punch a 16-year-old in the face so bad. But like, you know.
That's another one of those clippable things.
See?
You say it with no context.
But it was like, I kind of saw that, and I just remember thinking like, literally, they're doing you a favor. Like, they're literally giving you the middle ground between like a really sensible car for your age
that's still fun,
that's still fucking fun and cool, and in this case brand fucking, go fuck yourself with it. Well, we really wanted a 3 Series for a car that we didn't have to pay for right off the lot, but Daddy only got us brand new Civic Si. Get the fuck out of here,
Daddy,
dude.
I wanted an M3.
Yeah, it was literally like, my mind was like blown for a number of reasons, but like, dude, people will just never see, like, I don't remember My Sweet 16 on MTV. You remember that shit? Yeah. And how it was just like, I mean, sure, I'm quite sure now at this point in my life that it was like definitely played up. At least I hope that people aren't actually that horrendous.
Oh, they are.
But like,
you haven't seen some of the kids around here even? I mean, it's worth.
I mean, I've never heard any of their private conversations.
That's fair. No. That's fair. But well,
you don't eavesdrop on 16-year-olds.
Where I lived in Michigan, you would see like my sister's high school that she went to. There was like Lambos.
Okay,
there.
So actually, look, can I say a little story about that?
Please.
So I can say it. Chattanooga people will be like, "Whoa, I know where that is." So I used to work. Me and Ben were working at a car wash over at the base of Signal Mountain. And, like, going up Signal Mountain gets to be, like, pretty affluent areas, right? And just in that area. So there's a private school there whose name I don't really give a shit about or remember right now. But, like, I come to find out that there's, like, two, like, affluent private high schools in Chattanooga. And I was like so fucking confused. So they have like this rivalry apparently between it was the weirdest thing because I knew nothing about it. That was my first time experiencing it in Chattanooga, and they have like these fucking like this football game week or some shit where it's just like a rivalry week.
Rivalry.
I can't have an episode without doing a rivalry week like they do in colleges.
Yeah.
Right? And it was super weird. I didn't understand it at all. It really weirded me out. But what I'm getting to is, so I worked at this car wash, and I started to see all of these 16-year-olds coming in to get a car wash in these brand fucking new cars that people had egged their cars.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about like all day. We were just getting a steady stream of
like
these kids.
Egg and flour and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, because they're fucking throwing shit at each other's cars. And I'm just like, these are brand new cars that their parents bought them. And it's like, I don't mean to like be throwing shade at people that are richer than me. It's not what I'm doing. If you're listening to this and you're richer than me, I'm not directing this to you personally. It was just like,
no, I mean,
it was really weird to see just like the general, like just not ignorance, but just like kind of the sheer
I think
obliviousness to like
reality.
The fact that like your parents bought you a brand new car and like you're throwing like eggs, which can, if for anybody that doesn't know, eggs can fuck your fucking paint up to the point where you have to get shit like repainted.
Yeah.
So the idea that these kids were just like egging each other's brand new fucking cars just created feelings in me that I didn't quite know I had. Like,
I remember you telling me about that, and then I've also heard some stories just from other local people, and in my mind, I'm like, yo, that shit worries me, because these kids like have grown up. They've had everything handed to them, given brand new, super high-end cars or whatever. And, like, that they don't appreciate it fully because they're more than willing to throw eggs at each other's stuff or deface each other's property because they don't understand the value of $1. These are the kids that then once they get done with high school, they get done with college and go out to the real world on themselves, like on their own. You do some shit like that in the real world, someone will fucking kill you over it.
Oh yeah.
You throw eggs at the wrong person's car, and I'm not condoning anybody killing each other. But
Liam, if you throw eggs at the LS, he's gonna murder you.
But that's the thing. Like, people are not gonna take that lightly. You may be able to get away with it with your rich friends when you're young and your parents bought you brand new cars, but that shit doesn't fly in the real world. Stuff like that does not fly in the real world, and that worries me to the point that like these kids, because I do see these kids. And I haven't seen it in Chattanooga yet, but I've seen it.
Go down Signal Mountain, you'll see them.
No, well, okay. I've seen this in other places that I've spent time as a car enthusiast, especially up in Michigan, where there is a lot of wealth around Metro Detroit because of the auto industry. And there are so many kids that have insanely expensive cars that they have no understanding or concept of how much money that car is actually worth. And they don't care. They just act like idiots. And a lot of these kids, like, they will go to meets, they will go to shows and act crazy. And it blows my mind.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
I don't know. It just scares me. I don't like seeing kids go down bad paths. And I'm not to say like, being handed everything is a bad path. Like, obviously kids on their own can make their own choices. If you want to make good choices or bad choices and be cognitive of what's going on around you. But at some point, they got to learn that like you can't just do that stuff.
Here's going to be my little Matt life lesson for this episode. Then we'll probably move on, just because like we're getting dangerously close to societal commentary.
We're being boomers right now.
Yeah, we're getting dangerously close to societal commentary. But I'll say this: in my experience, I have definitely been privileged to have and receive a lot of things in my life that that a lot of other people have not.
Yeah.
And I'll always be really grateful for that. One thing that was always really important to me was this may sound weird, maybe, but I mean it in a good way. I have always tried to spend more time with people that may not have had the same opportunities as me than with people that have had the same opportunities as me. Because you not only are you going to be a more well-rounded person, you're going to get more knowledge and experience from people that you build relationships with that have experienced things that you have not.
Right. And I'm glad that you said that, because that can kind of bring me to somewhat of a point where I do want to say, like, I'm not trying to shame anybody that is fortunate enough to have, everything handed to them or, be given a really, really nice and expensive car. I'm not trying to shame those people at all. I just want you to understand how fortunate you are for that, and to understand that other people just aren't that lucky. And that is a good point. Spending time and hanging around with other people that share the same passion as you, doesn't matter your background, is very important to understanding and becoming more of a well-rounded person, I think.
Yeah, Dustin, would you agree with that?
I'm completely on board, because I I was in a long-term relationship with a girl, and like it was weird because she was raised as a poor person at a very rich school, and then interacting with her like over time and realizing like, oh, she doesn't realize like you were not raised poor, you were raised very wealthy.
I was just say less rich than the people around you.
And I mean, I'm not bashing her because like over time she learned, but there would be signs where it's like, oh, like I don't know, we were even talking at one point like talking about like the Katrina thing. She's like, why didn't they leave? I'm like, because they don't have money. I was like, where do they go? She's like, you just go and get a hotel. I'm like, they don't have gas money to leave. Of course they did. And like, and that's where it's kind of good. Like interacting with her, she kind of learned over time of like, oh yeah, like not everybody has money to dispose of.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a big thing for me. Like I'm very, very fortunate for my upbringing. My parents, you know, they have money, but they've always spent money on experiences. And so I traveled a lot when I was younger, and that has helped me have a better understanding of people from all kinds of backgrounds and cultures, and that's why I'm very empathetic to a lot of people. So yeah, I'm very thankful to be in the position that I was growing up, but I think that it's a big part of parenting, at least, is to teach your kids to you know not be oblivious to everything in the world.
I think.
So there's nothing wrong with having an expensive car.
One more little lesson from my experience. And this is, I don't know, this is actually kind of general also. If you spend your entire life or however big of a chunk of your life only being around yes people and only being around people that are offered the same privileges and opportunities that you are, let me put it this way. That is going to catch up with you in a bad way, whether it's like life-wise, decision-wise, or mentally. At some point, you're going to come to the realization that there's more other perspectives out there that are valuable to, even if you don't share those perspectives, to at least internalize the perspectives and experiences of other people. If you spend however big of a part of your life just kind of like cordoning yourself off with the people that might as well be living your same experience in a lot of ways, you're kind of cheating yourself. I'm gonna like let off the gas because I am.
Yeah,
I'm getting a little close. But the point that we're trying to make, you guys, is like, cars or not, make friends with people that are different than you.
Yeah.
Make friends with people who come from different backgrounds than you, because the idea behind this podcast that we're constantly repeating is how important it is to be open to and look for new perspectives.
Yep.
That does not just apply to cars. That applies to everything. That applies to life. I mean, that applies to literally anything. It just makes for even more awesome results when it comes to creative endeavors. You know, when artists collaborate with each other, when, you know, me and DJ, you know, the guy who I say that I'm the Walmart version of him, you know, his perspectives and conversations with him have been some of the most valuable conversations I've ever had in my life. And they've colored everything from how I see myself and how I grew up, all the way to how I style my cars.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just because, you know, I have such an amazing friend in him, and we grew up differently.
Right.
We came from different backgrounds. I mean, but, you know, I'm really lucky and grateful for the relationship that I had with him and what I've gotten from that relationship, because I decided not to just be like, well, I don't really agree with how he feels because I grew up this way, so I'm just not. No, I mean,
absolutely.
sometimes you gotta like really internalize what somebody's saying, and if after you've internalized it you still don't agree with it, then you don't agree with it. But there are certainly times where you internalize something you may have otherwise just brushed off. It can create a really positive change for you in your life.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're talking to kind of a multitude of people in this episode about this specifically. Like, we could be talking to the 16 or 18-year-old in this, but also like parents or prospective parents, you know? all of this stuff, I don't know if any of it is valuable for you guys, but we're just spitballing and throwing ideas around, and I hope that it's enjoyable for you guys to listen to.
We just try to be real, man.
Yeah.
We just try to be real, and the people that, like this gentleman right here, I'll be honest, y'all, like the people that we will have on this show are people that we know are on the same page as us, and
no, that sounds bad.
I was gonna say that sounds a little weird.
Hey, we just had this whole thing about go outside of your norm, and then he's we will only have people that are at the same page as us.
Rewind.
They did give me a list of my approved viewpoints before I went on. I was like, oh, I didn't know I thought that. Okay.
No, so the people that we have on this podcast are people that Liam and I, as the purveyors of this podcast, people that Liam and I feel have something that's genuinely valuable to offer. If we feel like somebody was just going to come on here and just talk shit about whatever it is, probably not going to be on here. Not because there's anything wrong with them. We just choose not to use our platform for that.
Right.
And it's our platform, so we can do whatever the fuck we want.
And since we have Dustin on here and we're getting towards the end of the episode, I do want to give Dustin some flowers. I think me and Matt both can, because
he got me a 1/18 scale model of a
there's
2000
that,
Ford
but no,
Explorer.
Dustin, we're not like super close. We don't text every day.
I don't have your phone number.
Do you actually not?
No.
See, this man has helped me out so many times. It is ridiculous. When we first moved into this house, like 2 weeks after we were in here, my truck just like took a shit. And you, after a long-ass day at work, drove all the way over here to try and help me, like super late at night after you're tired as fuck, in the dark, tried to help me diagnose what was wrong with my truck for like 2 hours. And we didn't figure it out. And then you went home, and the whole time you were trying to offer me another car. You were like, dude, we can go get the LS. Like, we can go right now. You can come back with me and just drive the LS back here, and you can have the LS until you get the Excursion fixed. Who does that? And then you just...
Who the fuck does that?
You came to Stupid Call, which was probably the worst event experience I have ever had being a vendor at a show. You were the only reason that I made it through that show and like didn't cry or have a breakdown, because it was miserable.
It was. I got messages like, why did you go? I was like, Liam's going, so I'm going to go. I was like, I don't want to go either. Neither one of us
I'm going to go make sure Liam doesn't fall apart.
No, and there has been multiple occasions where you have just stepped in because you just want to. And I don't even know if that is the case, but you are just a good dude, and you're just down to help with whatever. And I love and appreciate that about you.
Well, thank you. And I think part of that is because we actually kind of touched on it whenever we're having dinner is I was talking about...
Which we were having dinner in a gun range.
Oh, well,
what? we went to a shooting range in Memphis that you could have barbecue.
Yeah. Yo, that sounds like the most Memphis... If that wasn't in Memphis, I would say that was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was fun. When
I was talking about pizza, like, I brought up how I had a dead battery after a cruise, and, like, nobody would help. Like, I was like, I just need somebody to jump off the car. Like, just somebody... Until it was a lady that came up, and she was, like, saw me. She's like, you need to jump. And I was like, yeah, and she ran for it. Like, I think part of that is because I've been very fortunate and had help.
Dolly, get fucked.
Get fucked, Dolly.
And
we have another special guest. Nah, she can hang out. She's sitting
Dolly.
right now.
And and I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of people help me, and I know the value in that, and so that's why it's kind of like, okay, I got to do the same. And that's where I can give you credit. Whenever I broke my bumper the first time, I mentioned like, oh yeah, I broke my bumper. You're like, oh, you want me to fix it? It wasn't like, oh, what are you going to do? It's like, you want me to fix that? I was like, oh, no, I can do fiberglass.
No, honestly, I was excited about when I saw that you broke your bumper, I was like, finally, I have something that I can help you out with. It's like, I think I know how to fix that. I could do that for you.
And so that's it. It's like, I've been fortunate. People have helped me, and so I'm always like, hey, let me help them. Because, I don't know, maybe it'll make things suck less in the world.
This is the point I'm trying to make. Like, you can take the thing that I said out of context if you want, but like, if you learn anything from this podcast, just learn that it's fucking fun to be a good person. Honestly. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, just being realistic, I know that shit can be hard sometimes to be really nice to people or to like go out of your way to. It can be really hard depending on what you have.
It's hard when you're in shitty situations yourself.
It can be really hard depending on like where you're at in your life. But coming from somebody who has been in some really shitty spots and has always put all of my effort into not transferring that shittiness into other people, whether I love and care about them or I don't fucking know them at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, somebody said it in a much more like smooth way than I'm going to say it right now because I can't remember what the phrase was, but it's like, if you can't help, at least don't hurt.
Yeah.
Basically.
The one of the things that I've like, that was said to me when I was a lot younger that was always stuck with me was be the person that you didn't have.
Yeah.
And I try my best to do that whenever I can. Because when I was like coming up in like video or photo stuff and was trying to build like a reputation or develop my skills, I didn't have anybody that guided me. And I didn't necessarily like, I didn't blow up or get like the absolute best, but whenever and wherever I can, if I can provide some kind of information or guidance to somebody who is in that similar position that I was, like if I can see somebody that maybe would make a mistake somewhere and I can guide them otherwise, I'd absolutely like always try to do that.
Well, the
same thing with cars too. Like my experiences with cars, I've made so many mistakes.
Not for nothing. I mean, I would assume you would agree with me. I feel like, Liam, I feel like anybody that knows you even remotely, like, feels that. Yeah. Like, kind of sees that about you, that you're always just kind of down to help however you can. Even more so if you have experience or expertise in that given thing. And it's just like, look at the relationships you've been able to build being like that.
If I had money, I'd be doing some next level.
The whole world would be eating right now.
I'd be doing some next.
All of you. But he wouldn't care about the community.
Yeah.
He'd be above
I'd be like, yo,
main goal.
If I had money, psh, I'm gonna be doing this shit. I'd never help anybody. I'm just kidding. No,
but it does matter. Like
seriously,
I talked to a guy. He was talking about how he wanted to ask a question to you. I was like, message him. He's like, I can just. I was like, yeah. And he got back to me like a little while. He was like, oh, he answered my question. He gave me all this info. He was really helpful. I'm like, yeah. He's really like, he's a good guy. He helps.
There was something that happened recently. I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody sent me. Oh, no. I do remember what it was. So somebody had messaged me about something to do with business. It was like shipping options. Like, who do you use as your like shipping provider to like print labels and get like bulk discounts on shipping and stuff? And I helped him out. I told him everything that I knew and like some of the other websites that I've tried and what worked best with different websites, whatever. Like, I gave him a really big list of helpful stuff. And the dude was super appreciative that he sent me a whole box of his detailing products. And I want to give him a shout out. I think his last name's like Tognietti. It's some kind of Italian name. I do apologize, but I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to go buy any of his detailing stuff. But yeah, he sent me a whole box of like all of his detailing products just because I helped him out. And that was fucking awesome. I didn't expect any of that. I was just helping him out because I know what it was like to be in that position where I didn't really know the direction to go with shipping stuff. So
and that's part of it. Like I mean, part of what motivates me is yay, Jesus, big guy like that, got to be a good person. But you're a brand. Like you. Even if you don't sell anything, you sell yourself.
Not anymore.
Well, no, but I'm saying still now. Everybody.
Yeah.
I'm saying everybody is a brand. You are your reputation, and people know what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
think of anytime you're with people and they talk about other people, they're going to talk about you when you're not there, good or bad. So be a good person, and that way it'll be good, and you can do good, and then people will be there for you. It's always good to be good. It will help you
Always.
in the long run.
Yeah. Something I believe it was Maya Angelou that said it. And I heard it when I was in like elementary school, and I've lived by it ever since then. People are not going to remember what you said. People, what do you know? What I'm saying, right?
I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead.
So people will not remember what you said. They'll remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. I need to know what Dustin is doing.
The caption for my last Instagram post: "People will never forget how you made them feel." Maya Angelou.
So there was two of us. We didn't plan that. That tells you how good that is.
Yeah.
People will not remember what you said. They will remember how you made them feel. You can look into yourself right now as I say this and see that that is correct. Mm. That is an unbelievable thing that she said for the accuracy. Because you may not, if somebody fucking bullied you when you were a kid,
what they said isn't important.
You're probably not gonna fucking remember, what it was that, I mean, maybe you will to some degree, but you're not gonna remember every little thing they said, but you're gonna remember how fucking shitty you felt when they said that shit to you. Right. Well, what is the opposite of that? Because I promise you the opposite of that is gonna be just as, if not stronger.
Right.
And that's legitimately why I go through my own life trying to be somebody that people, enjoy being around, which sometimes it surprises even me that people enjoy being around me sometimes. But the other thing is, having seen in my own life how true that statement is, I want when people think about me that they feel good.
Yeah.
In whatever way that may appear in the mind of whoever it is that's thinking about me, Matt Clavijo, I want it to be a good feeling. I would really rather it wasn't, I fucking hate that guy. I'm sure there's at least one person out there that feels that way about me for whatever reason, and sucks to suck, but I go through my life every day thinking about that. Even if I have an interaction with a stranger, well, depending on the stranger, sometimes I'll downgrade it to, if you can't help, at least don't hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in my life with the people that I want to interact with, in whatever way that may be at a given moment, that's what I want. I'm going to tailor my actions, the things that I say and the things that I do, to the desire to do that. To be, whenever that person thinks about me, mm-hmm. that it's a good feeling that pops up. And that's always just been a really satisfying, I guess, feeling when I think about how I conduct myself. So, wow, this got fucking wild, dude.
I'll give my take on that a little bit, because I'm not perfect at all, and there is definitely times, and it happens often. There are definitely times where I say the wrong thing, or I do some shit that is not the right thing to do and I'm not proud of, and that's just part of learning and growing as a human. Thing. As long as you are honest with yourself that you make mistakes, and this is important for you guys to hear, because I understand that it can be a little overwhelming sometimes to hear, like you just said about trying to be, really good and make sure that every impression that everybody has is good. But
hold on, just really quick, because you just said something that I want to clarify. Mm-hmm. It is an unreal. I want to clarify this so there's no confusion about what I said. It's unrealistic to think that every interaction that you have is going to be perfect.
Right.
I aim to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I fail a lot.
Right.
But so that is what I aim to do.
I just wanted to come in and say that nobody is perfect. You will never be perfect. But as long as you are honest with yourself about the mistakes that you make and you always try to improve on yourself, then you're doing the right thing. But that's not to say be a dickhead and just be like, oh, it's fine. I
was a dickhead just then, but I'm going to do it again now.
Right. But, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good place to to end.
Fuck.
I mean, that was
Man,
something.
we went from best first daily drivers to fucking Schoolhouse Rock for life lessons. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Well,
I could see it. Hold on, you're about to say something.
I
again.
did think of one thing. Since we talked about being a good person, I have a great reason. I've been meaning to announce this. I'm running for president in 2024.
The minute that I heard him say, "I need to announce this," I was like, "Here we go."
There will be at least 5 states I will be on the ballot. So is this
What are the
legitimate?
5, what are the 5 states?
Dustin has president.
Tennessee is easy. I have to double check my list. I believe Utah, it's just a fee. I found states where it's not that hard, and it's like, I'm running for president.
Oh wait, to like get on the ballot?
Yeah, I'll be on the ballot in Tennessee, 100% locked
I am
in.
going to vote for you.
Nobody needs to vote for me, but I'm running.
Not for nothing. Me and Dustin, I'll be very vague, but when we were at that show,
Radwood.
yeah, Dustin and I, our friendship grew 3 sizes that day because anybody that has ever talked to me like in real wow, excuse me, in real life, it's a little bit harder for me to like convey how I am in this way on the internet, but anybody who has ever talked to me in person, I don't fuck with small talk. I just don't. There's nothing I dislike
Said that
more.
so aggressively.
Because there's nothing that I
Hey,
dislike more.
if you're coming here to talk, you better not bring any of that fucking.
No, get that.
Better not bring any of that small talk. I
Get
don't give a
that-
fuck about the weather.
Get that weak shit out of here, dude.
I want to talk about your heart. I want to talk about everything.
You're making it sound really corny, but that's literally how I
No,
am.
dead ass though. That
And-
is how Matt is.
And it's like me and Dustin. It was not unlike this conversation. I mean, we were talking about, cars or what the fuck ever it was. And then all of a sudden, like 3 hours later, I knew Dustin better than maybe Liam does. Like,
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Because I don't talk that much. Like, you're a very good person and you're very open. Because I'm normally, people don't know anything about me and I like it that way. I'm like, no, I don't exist.
I choose not to exist. But yeah, and it's just like that's something that I really valued that conversation, to be honest with you. And it's like that's something. This kind of seems like I'm bragging or something in my brain right now, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Like, it's really easy to be like, talk to everybody. Some people are built for that. Some people are not. I am not. But what I will say is when you stumble on somebody that you get along with well, be open.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like overshare minute 1, but I know a lot of us, myself included, really struggle with that sometimes.
So I started murdering homeless people.
But
You're gonna
Clip
cut
it,
that,
clip
aren't
it.
you? You fucking asshole.
it's just kind of like be open. What am I trying to say? Be open with that person. In my experience, a lot of times when somebody senses that you are not a dickhead, but B, are genuinely being open and just being a human being talking to them, you end up having these conversations that are the opposite of fucking garbage ass small talk, and you learn about other people. And in my life thus far, I spend so much time in my head in a really bad way for a long time. It's so, for me as an individual, it's so, I mean, not to sound cheesy, but like it's so beautiful to me when I'm able to be able to have a really fucking cool conversation. And let's be honest, like, even if it's literally just going into the minutia of what you like about cars.
Yeah.
That still, if it's one of those conversations where you're like, oh, fuck, we've been talking for like an hour, that's the best fucking feeling.
Yeah.
No,
It's the best.
Yeah. So you kind of forget that you've been talking for that long.
Because you're really enjoying it and you're learning about each other.
I will say this. I'm very curious to hear your perspective on this same thing, say a year from now when this podcast is a lot bigger and you're actively going to events and meeting people constantly.
See,
I'm very intrigued to hear your take on it.
It's interesting that you say that because I have thought about that before in watching you and like knowing how you feel, because there's certainly burnout for that. Like if people are trying to talk to you, like have deep conversations.
If people know also that you're the person to do that with
like deep conversation. But that's kind of one of the reasons that I mentioned, like, I'm not saying overshare and just be like, just whoever the fuck walks up to, somebody with mental problems that's not coherent could walk up to you and it's like, well, I mean, I could talk to you about things that don't exist in my reality, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, use discretion. It's like you have the responsibility as a human to decide, like, is this conversation worth my time? It's not, when you make that decision, it's not you saying, is this person's existence worth my time? Yeah. No, you have to be able to separate. But I mean, the point that I'm making is just for me and my own life as an individual, I've come to realize over the years that the thing that I value the most in my entire life are my relationships with people.
Yep. You're helping me to realize that too, because that's your big part as to why like I focus a lot more on that side of my life now, because like past 5 years or so that I've just been so hectically busy in between so many different groups, and I've been, I'd say loosely friends with so many hundreds of people from all over the car community, but never actually close with anybody. Mm-hmm. I have like a lot more respect now for just wanting to have like solid, genuine human interaction with people as opposed to just like quick talk or like catching up with someone here and there. Like,
well, and it's hard. I mean, because exactly like what you were talking about, like I'll be interested to see, like that's a very real thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you can't, it's impossible. I can't put the same energy that I put into my conversation with Dustin into 10 fucking people. Right. Yeah. In a line at an event. I can't do it. It's impossible.
It wouldn't have happened at Riverside.
Right. No. Exactly. It's just, but they're just, when it feels right, and it does work. Like, I don't give a shit how anybody feels about anything. There are just things that happen in life that just feel right. And like, I think something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included at one point, is like, just through our various different life experiences, it's really common for people to feel like when something feels right, that's like, no, this isn't real. This feels like this is going too smoothly. Mm. In my opinion, and I'm not saying this to invalidate anybody, I'm just telling you what my experience has led me to. Intrinsically, there is the problem begins when you don't allow yourself to just have that. Yeah. And the thing that I think can be difficult is allowing yourself to just have that, because your brain is so quick to be like, I don't know. But something that I've experienced in my own life is through very concentrated effort, and it was very hard and very painful sometimes when I was having to tell my brain, like, no, I'm going to let it happen. Yeah. Because if I die 2 minutes from now, but I've let that happen and I got to feel that fluidity and pleasant feeling of letting that happen, I win. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Just go with that, because like I just said, if you die 2 minutes later, you win. So imagine how many times you can win if you operate like that every single time you are in a situation where you're like, ooh, this seems to be going too well. Like, just give it to yourself. You deserve it. Just give yourself that. And once I was finally able to internalize that and break that wall in my head and realize that, like, life fucking sucks sometimes. Like, it is just fucking awful sometimes. Take the shit that it gives you. Fuck, dude. Shake life down for all it's worth, by all means.
And I'll even say that, like, in a year, if you have that problem, like, it's not the worst problem to have. Like, people, and I know it's legitimate, overwhelming, like, you with your car, people, when's it going to be done, and this or that. But I just think of Gatlinburg last year. I didn't make it. My car had issues, did everything in the world, moved every mountain, still wasn't there. And I went and I was so upset. I was like, my car's not here, it's down. Mm-hmm. And then everybody wanted to ask about it. Like, oh, where's your car? Oh, did you get it done? Oh, what'd you... And I hated it. And the whole time I was putting on a smile. I'm like, yeah, it's good. I'll tell the story a million times.
Right.
But then towards the end, a friend of mine, Hannah, was like, isn't that a great problem to have? I was like, what? She's like, people know you.
Yeah.
People see you, walk up to you, and ask you how you're doing. And you have to say a million times, but is that the word? I was like, that is a pretty good problem to have, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I get mad at myself.
It feels weird, yeah.
I get mad at myself when it bothers me because, from everybody else's perspective, it probably comes across that I'm just being super arrogant.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, fuck, dude. People know who you are and they support and love what you do. Why are you complaining about it? But I mean, these are just things and feelings, and they're not invalid. But I get it. I get it from every perspective.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's just like I think that this is something that I've learned really in my own life the past year, that I will always start, if I'm telling somebody else this, I will start by telling you, if you feel like you can't do this, I understand, because for a long time I felt like I couldn't. But the thing about it is, on this particular topic that I'm about to say, the really inconvenient, annoying truth is, if you can't, it's because you're not allowing yourself.
Yeah.
And you fucking deserve it, dude. Every single person that is listening, I don't give a shit if you're listening over the shoulder of who's listening to this. You deserve to be able to feel those moments that feel like they're going too well. And just fucking enjoy that.
Yeah.
Even if it's fucking... It happens... The moment of awe, we talked about it however many episodes ago. Uh-huh. Every day. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah. Take one thing from every day.
If it's the light coming through the trees as I'm driving between two fucking yards where something goes wrong at both of them. If the light comes through the trees in just the right way where I'm like, oh shit, that looks cool, I just let myself sit in that shit for a second. Not, Matt, life isn't a fucking movie, dude. No, I used to do that. I don't do that shit anymore. I'm like, hey, that's beautiful and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Even if it makes me happy for 5 fucking seconds, then I go back to being pissed off, I still got that 5 seconds.
I think this is why I started doing the photo dumps that I do on my personal Instagram.
Yeah, it makes you take...
Yeah,
it makes you realize it more.
Anytime I'm in those moments... I live through my camera. I always have. So anytime I'm like in those moments, I take a snapshot of it, and once a week I post up my photo dump that is like a collection of my favorite moments from that week. And it's not for anything of like, hey, look what I'm up to on social media, because I don't put a caption on it. I don't put them in an order that's appealing. I literally just post them because they are my favorite moments from that week, and I like to reflect on it because it reminds me the life isn't that bad, and I'm gonna be all right.
You just gotta.
That's it.
You just gotta take it where you can get it.
So yeah, if anybody does want to see my personal photo dumps, my Instagram is just my name.
If anybody wants to see Liam's dumps,
you want to see my dumps, my personal Instagram is just my name. So yeah, you guys ready to end?
Are we gonna?
I actually got one question.
A
actually, if you want to lighten
something?
it up real quick.
Yeah.
You have a question?
I got one.
Yeah.
Wait, when did you post this up? During the episode?
Only one that I can read in a public forum. And it's going to be bad. This is the one I can read. Why are you and Liam the dads of the car community?
Me and you are the dads?
I mean, he is wearing white socks
old.
right now, so...
I know me. I'm old.
I'm not that old. I'm just mentally old.
It's the stash.
The stash.
Wait, Dustin, how old are you? Are you older than me?
I'm not admitting it on here.
What
I'm
the
single.
Fuck? Oh my
I'm older than you.
He said, I'm single.
I'm single. I got to keep my options up. I don't keep my age on the down low. Older than you.
Okay, fair enough.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Actually 6 foot. You can give me a tape measure. I'm not Tinder 6 foot. I'm 6 foot.
I'm not Tinder.
I'm 5'8".
So you're Tinder 6 foot.
No, I'm just 5'8". My line.
I'm Tinder 5'8".
My line is that I'm average height for a woman.
I'm short king.
Exactly. I could be your short king. That's a line. That's a line for sure. Why are we the dads? I don't know. I'm mentally old. I think the reason that I am like maybe a dad, or I have so many like things to say on things that are like fuck off, Ben. Things that are like more society based around like car culture stuff, is because I have lived through multiple different things that are similar to the car community. Like I've had long periods of my life, say like 4 to 5 years, that I've been deeply, very deeply involved in something that I was passionate about that doesn't relate to each other. Like before car stuff, I was deeply involved in scooters, which action sports stuff. And I think I've taken a lot of different experiences for how those, and this is interesting too, because the episode that we did, was it like 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about...
you haven't given me the context yet, so I don't know.
Well, comparing how different communities and cultures that are like interest-based...
Yeah.
I have a lot of that. I have a lot of experience in different subcultures. And so I learn different things from all of them. And that's why like I can compare them and see similarities and see like where things maybe go wrong or like people fall off in these communities. And that's why now at the point that I'm at with cars, where I've been involved with them for like almost 10 years, I'm like, I've narrowed it down. I've narrowed down the things that I think are like super important to like keep things going and are good. And so I do my best to use my platform to like just make the community better. I think that's why maybe that might be a little bit too much.
It's simple. Don't screw over every guy and don't try to screw every girl. That's it. Every community.
That question may not have been that serious. It may have just been why do you guys look like dads?
We're all clearly in a very serious state of mind right now. But
for the other answer, it's the mustache. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening, and Dustin, thank you so much for joining us. And
hey, Dustin, thank you for my 1/18 scale model of a burnt orange 2000 Ford Explorer Sport Track like I had when I was a young child.
Anytime.
And thank you for the pizza and all of the times that you have helped me.
Hey, I appreciate it.
We will.
And thank you, listeners.
Yeah.
Or
thank
watchers on
you,
YouTube.
listeners.
Thank all of you guys. And
hopefully everybody on YouTube can clearly see my 1/18 scale 2000 burnt orange. I'm like changing up the order every time I say it 'cause I can't remember.
But no, if you guys are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this 5 stars. And if you're on YouTube, give it a like, post in the comments, let us know what you think. And if you want to join our Discord, the link's in the description. If there's anything wrong with the link, it says it's expired, just shoot either me or Matt a message. We'll get you an actual link. But yeah, we want to get more people in the Discord and just try and make it a better community of people sharing cool stuff related to cars. And
not for nothing.
Thank you.
Have fun, Alan.
We'll be back next week for another episode. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks, dudes.
Bye.
Bye.
Dustin Watson 2024.